Hey, you guys, welcome to Chosen by the Universe. I'm your girl, Isadora, and I am here giving you all this beautiful information that the universe is feeding me. And I'm here to just, I'm here to give you this information and have a conversation where I'm honest with myself and I'm honest with you guys. And hopefully, you guys can be honest with yourself and we can all transform into these beautiful, godly beings, right? Um, so this is podcast episode 1. If you cannot hear it in my voice, I am excited. Okay. I've been trying to start this podcast for a while now, and I've just been procrastinating. And you know what? Today I told myself, Isadora, you are not about to procrastinate today. So I am dedicating this time to you guys, to myself, and to my guides to really help us talk about what's going on, what we're going through. So if you're listening to this, I appreciate your time. I really, really do. And I hope that, you get something from this podcast. And just know that every Wednesday, every single Wednesday, I'm going to have a whole new podcast coming out for you guys, okay? Where we just talk about anything the universe brings to me. I'm just going to translate it to you guys, because if it was given to me, then it's meant to be given to the next soul, okay? And the topic for this week's podcast is the rise of the feminine, okay? The rise of the creator of life, okay? The rise of the portal from different dimensions. I think as women, we forget how amazingly awesome the universe has made us, okay? Because we live in this reality where, in all honesty, the masculine, they create this reality, right? Because the masculine, they're more physical. So as far as like building houses and, systems and things like that, this is all things that the masculine's subconscious has created, right? But for women, or for the divine feminine, whether you're male or female and you resonate with feminine energy, we're more so internal, right? We're always looking within. We're always like, we are the voices of the unknown, the voices of the unseen. In the spiritual community, there's a lot of feminine energy, right? It's a lot of us gals, spreading the word, right? And I feel like right now, the feminine energy is really starting to understand their power, right? Their gifts, and really being able to um, use the gifts that the universe has gifted us, or them, whatever, us, and really start creating our own reality. Like, for instance, all of a sudden, I don't know when this trend began, but I just began noticing it probably mid 2019. And I just started seeing a lot of women starting to pursue their dreams and starting just selling things. I mean, I see women making like organic facial masks and what are those called? The things you put in your bath, like the shower bombs or bath bombs. I see a lot of women just starting to like do nails, have like hair services. I mean, I see women doing it all. And it's just, for me, it makes me proud to be a woman, because it's like, you know what? Look at us. Where when men look at us, they feel like, oh, where's the woman doing? What is she doing? It's like we're being so belittled. But I think that's because as women, because systematically, the way the world has been set up, at least in the United States or in other countries as well, was like, people only value the tangible, the 3D world. And it's like, women with us, we're so beyond that men didn't really respect what we bought or what we're bringing to the table, because they don't understand it. It's not something that they can truly comprehend and value, right? It's something that a man has to be taught to value, right? And like for instance, I know I would hear, I forgot, I think young Pharaoh would say this, but I think young Pharaoh would say, oh, black women are God, or is God, or the God is a woman, right? And I can see where he would say that. I mean, I can see like why that would make sense in this reality, and just kind of trying to dissect where, the world and energy. I can see why that could be possible. And I know for me personally, my husband would be like, what? How is the black woman a god? Blah, blah, blah. Like, black women are failing. It was, I mean, it was just horrible. It's like to hear someone talk like that. But I understand his perspective too, because as a black man, meeting women, dating women, being raised by women, it's like, I don't, I can imagine that he didn't see the strength in the women around him, right? And that's understandable, because I'm pretty sure we can all, um, we all can relate to that, where there's women beyond around us that just not necessarily are failing, but we just don't see their value. You know what I mean? We really just don't, and that's okay, because it's not for us to see. As only from us, only thing that should be given is respect. That's what we should. We don't have to necessarily have to truly understand where they're coming from. It's just respect where they're coming from, because they are a different soul. They are on a different path, and it's not for anyone to judge someone else's path, right? Um, but yeah, I can totally see where people would get that connotation of women. But when I sit down and I was kind of, I'm one of those, I'm a Cancer, so I literally like think everything like 1,000 times. Like think over, like I can have a conversation, and then like a year later, I'm still having the same conversation in my head. I can't let anything go. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Women haven't, women have, a lot of women haven't recognized their own power. So, how is it that we want a man to respect and see the value that we hold in this place, like in this place and time on this planet, when we truly don't see it? Like, our beauty and our value doesn't come from our bodies, it doesn't come from our hair, it doesn't come from our complexion. It comes from within. It comes from our intuition, right? It comes from the ability to transform a soul into a vessel, into a child, into a young adult, to a human, to an adult, to a man, to a woman. That transformation, or that transferring of energy from the spiritual world to the physical world, that is our gift. And I remember, I had to write an essay, and it was in psychology, and it was asking, like, what's one pro of being a woman, and the one pro of being a man. I mean, and one con of being a woman. And you know what I said for both of them? The pro and con I put was the burden of giving life. You know, it, a lot of people, I feel like men particularly, they don't understand that having a period, being able to give birth to a whole human being with a whole spirit, with a whole um, purpose in this world, even though it is one of the most beautiful gifts, it is a burden. Because for a woman who is not in the mindset of being that nurturer, of being a mother, of raising a child, it's very challenging. Because, I mean, I guess you can say men can walk away too, but at the same time, it's, I wouldn't say it's easier for a man to walk away, but for a woman, it's part of our gift, you know? And so when we're living in this reality, in this matrix, and okay, the universe has gifted us the ability to give birth and to nurture a growing soul. But then on top of that, man is giving us the burden to add on to that burden that we have no control over. You can say not having sex, but it's sex is a natural thing. So for someone to say, "Oh, well, you don't need to have sex," that's unnatural. You're asking me to do the opposite of what my body is telling me to do. You know what I mean? And so just for someone to say, "Hey, don't be natural." That's to me that when I hear people say, "Oh, well, women need to stop opening their legs. Women need to stop opening their legs." I'm like, at the end of the day, if we feel a connection with someone and our bodies are naturally telling us that are leading us down a path, it's very unnatural for us to be like, no, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? It's very unnatural. And so it's very challenging for me to accept, oh, women need to close their legs. I mean, don't get me wrong. And to a certain extent, you don't need to open your legs to everyone, because you do take on the burden of that person's soul. And that's, again, is part of our burden, part of our gift. And I hate to keep calling it a burden and a gift, but I say both a burden and a gift, because our womb to certain women is a curse. To other women, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. So I like to, and personally in my life, my womb has been something that I've, resented. It's like, why me? Why do I have to be a woman? Why do I have to have this burden? Why can't I be a male and just be more physical and not have to be so emotional and not have to be so intuitive? And I don't know. To me, I've always felt like, not always, but I've had moments in my life where I felt like, why can't I be a man? Because outside looking in, um a man seems to have like an easier life than women, because of the things that you know the universe have gifted us with. And I feel like I'm just going on a long tangent, but I can't help myself. But yeah, I just, so I'm not trying to like make it a bad thing, because it is a very beautiful thing, because it is a gift from the universe. That's a major gift. Just imagine if everyone in the world could just have babies. That would be so strange. It wouldn't make you feel special. But for one species or one gender to only be able to have baby, that makes me feel very special. And I and to be honest, I even sometimes get a bit offended when people are like, I don't know, like other people should be able to like have babies and stuff. And to me, I feel disrespected, because okay, for someone to say that a person who was not born with a uterus or with the God gift of having a child, for someone to say, oh, that person deserves to right to bear a child, is disrespectful to me, because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. I mean, don't get me wrong. Someone could choose to put somebody's ovaries in their body. That's definitely a choice. But to say that that person has the right, I always get offended by that, because depending on when you started your period, you're going to have a different outlook on, that part of your body. Because, I mean, I've seen people start at like 8 years old, 9, 10, 11 years old. And it's like at that time, these young ladies are not prepared for that. You know what I mean? And it's like just growing up and having to deal with that, and having stuff go through your clothes, and you're at school, you're having to wear school, I mean, you're having to switch to your gym clothes, and like you've made a mess in your pants, like and you have to like tie your sweater around your hip so no one sees anything, and it's like that wasn't a choice. Like that was something that we as women had to go through, and without a choice as to when we want to go through it, when we want it to start, when we want it to stop. And for someone to say they have the right to choose when it starts and when it stops, that's just not right. Because as a woman, we don't have that option, so I always feel a little like some way about that. But yeah, like so yeah, with the rise of the feminine, I feel like we're finding finding our inner strength, and we're coming out of this um what is that word I'm looking for? Victim mentality. Because I know even me, I've always felt like a victim of my childhood. And the more I speak to people outside of my environment, I realize that most of us kind of we feel like we've been victims of our childhood, especially women. I feel like women, we are abused mentally, physically, emotionally, by the people who are supposed to love us, the people who are supposed to protect us. And I also feel like it's something that we all keep in, like I mean, I'm pretty sure that half of you who listen to this, there's some childhood secrets that you just won't talk about. You refuse to discuss. But um I really feel like we're coming out of that energy. It's like we're finding our inner strength, and it's manifesting in the 3D where we are like being driven. Like it's like we are moving forward. For instance, instead of just working a 9 to 5, we're starting our own businesses. And like, instead of feeling boxed in by our neighborhoods or by our conditioning of our families and our upbringing, we're looking outside of that, and we're going for what we want, and we're becoming who we want to be. That person inside of you that's deep within, that you wouldn't allow to show up in the outside of your body, because you don't want people to make fun of you. You're afraid of how people will accept you. But I feel like us as feminine, we're coming out of that. Okay, we are definitely coming out of that. And with that being said, I do want to convey that with every form of a vibration, there is a high vibration and there is a low vibration. And the high vibration is us knowing and accepting who we are. And that also comes with our sensuality, our nurturing, our motherly energy, whether we're mothers to fur babies, or to our friends and family, or to our own children, to our stepchildren. That is operating at a high frequency. Now, the low frequency is over sexualized, because we hold so much energy in our wombs that sometimes as women, we could allow our wombs to pull us in a direction that is not where we need to be. So I also feel like, with this new rise of the feminine, we have to be mindful in healing our wombs, okay? Because with sex trauma, with, I would say, um, just I would say sex trauma. And sex trauma doesn't mean you have to be raped. Sex trauma is just giving yourself to people who are to a person that didn't deserve your energy, that didn't deserve your love. For instance, if you have sex with someone who is very sad and very angry and has a lot of resentment, and you have sex with that person, a piece of that person is still within your womb. So you have to release that energy so that you don't carry the burdens of people to whom you've been intimate with. Okay, so part of our rise of part of the rise of the feminine is really cleansing our wombs and understanding the power that our wombs hold. Okay. I see a lot of people online having like herbal baths. That is awesome. What is that, like vaginal steams? Like that's really good. I mean, there is definitely a sense of just needing to cleanse ourselves, right? And not only for ourselves, but for humanity, because the feminine energy is the most important energy. Because, for instance, think about it. What do we relay to water? I mean, for water, I haven't really heard of a masculine god for water other than Poseidon. And to be honest with you, I'm not very big on Greek mythology. I actually don't believe in Greek mythology at all. I think it's a very over sexualized, pedophile like um, system um, that is used to make excuses for things that are unnatural and the things that I'm just not interested in. So, with me, you'll never really hear me refer to Greek mythology because it's not something that I feel should be taught to the masses. I actually think the opposite. It should be like buried deep within and just like they should just start over because they're just teaching people like to idolize naked babies or to putting in the visuals of a whole bunch of naked men. Like it's just I will allow you guys to do your own research on that. But um yeah, but for most religions, even though I wouldn't consider myself a very religious person, I am in a sense. I do try to I do like to be aware. So with reading, I've read some of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I've read some of the Luciferian Bible. I've read some of the regular Bible, the Holy Bible. I want to say the King James version, not the King James version. There's another one because the King James version is too like male dominant. But yeah, because with that I do like to, and then I haven't read any of the Hindu religious books. However, I do like to get information about their deities. Same thing with African I wouldn't call it mythology, but I would say with African religion, I with the Orishans, I like to get information about the different deities from there too. And from what I've seen, when it comes to water, most deities are considered to be women, with the Yameya and Ganga from Hindu. And with that, even though, so they're women, on top of that, they're also mother. You have other goddesses, which is like maybe some prosperity goddesses, or you have like war goddesses. But when you speak about the water goddesses, it's always about the mother. And if you think about it, we all need water to survive, right? I mean, yeah, I feel like we need the sun for our planet, but we don't necessarily need it. Actually, I don't know if that's 100% true. I'm not even going to go there. But long story short, water is like, it's always considered to be the mother, the mom, the woman, right? And water speaks to renewal, transformation. It speaks to cleansing, right? So water and women have since I a long time ago have been related to one another. And so I think it's also very important for women to remember that and use water to cleanse themselves, to cleanse their wombs, to cleanse their body. And to take that time while you're taking a bath or a shower to mentally let the universe know, I want to cleanse this off of me. When you take a bath, you're not just taking a bath to actually wash the dirt off of your body or the dirt out of your hair. It's also the energies. It's also, um, like the things that you want to release, whether it's a mindset, a thought, anything. It's something, it's kind of like a renewal. So I want you guys to remember that. And, while you're taking a shower tonight or tomorrow, or you're taking a nice little soak in the bathtub, just release things that you don't need. Ask the universe to take this all off of you, away from you, and you be intentional about what it is that you're releasing. Okay. um so yeah, with the rise of the feminine, I feel like our mindsets are changing. We are realizing that we don't need a man. For a very long time, we felt like we needed a man. And don't get me wrong, masculine energy does have its benefits. And, with me, I always say with my husband, when you have a masculine who's operating out of a high vibration and out of his masculine, like masculine power, I would say, because it's definitely a power. Um, it's like a gift to everyone around him. When you like, it's really one of the most beautiful things. Just like with a woman, when you have a woman who is operating out of her feminine energy, where she's nurturing and loving and kind, it's beautiful. You don't want to leave from around that person. Same thing with masculine energy. But with that, we are recognizing with this new, uh, how do I say this? With this new Aquarian season, that we do have the power within to create and to manifest our lives the way we want them to be manifested. And I also feel like the manifestation that women are practicing is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And like I said, feminine energy is one of the most important energies of the world. Most time, like I said, it's related to water, which is, most of the world is water, right? Same thing with women, I believe. I believe I've heard that women outpopulate men. I'm not sure if I said that right, but I believe I did. And that makes sense, right? And it just shows that if we all come together and embody our feminine energy, we could really turn this world around. And I feel like that's why the universe has awakened a lot of our divine feminines, because we're in need of them. We need everyone to begin to wake up and open their eyes and not fall for, the matrix within the matrix that are meant to stagnate you and confuse you and slow your progress. And I do feel like a lot of us are waking up, and I feel blessed to be alive and conscious um, during these times, because I do see the rise of the feminine. I really, really do, which is why I wanted to make this the first topic. And I keep saying the rise of the feminine because I want you guys to have it in your mind. I want you to know that it's time for you to rise. If you're listening to this and you've been feeling intuitively that you've been feeling drawn to something, you've been wanting to start something new, I want you to remember that this is the rise. This is the time for you to rise and show up in your life and manifest the life that you want, right? And I really feel like it all starts with the subconscious, okay? Everything is just like intuitively, like things that come up in your mind that no one else knows. It's so intimate to you. And then what happens is you began thinking things, thinking further into that subconscious thought. What I mean by that is you'll have the subconscious thought of like, okay, I want to start my own business, right? But you're like, nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. But then slowly, as the days and months and weeks progress, you're thinking about it more. Well, if I did start my business, what would it be? And it just starts like starting a cycle of these thoughts. And then what happens is your body begins to catch up, because your body begins taking action. And that's really the most powerful part of manifestation, is the action part. Because you have to remember is that manifestation really is just a word used to describe that that of procreating with the universe. And we're doing this all day. We're doing this all day, every day. And anything we put our energy into, we're creating that. You guys ever like have in your mind like what you want in a relationship, right? And it's like it's like you're only precise about like one thing. For instance, I'm gonna use myself as an example. The first relationship I ever really manifested, I was like, you know what? I want my person to be all up under me. Like, I want my person to be around me all the time. Like, I want, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I want. And guess what? It happened. And guess what? I hated it, because I'm like, okay, neither one of us can keep a job, because you want to call in, I want to call in. Like, and it just got to the point where it's like, no, this is not going to work. I don't want this. And then because I was having that problem with this person, I was like, you know what? I don't want this. Okay. That's not what I told the universe. I'm like, okay, I don't want this. And this was an intentional manifestation. So it was like, you know what? Because of that, I was having money problems. So I'm like, okay, what? I want to manifest someone with money. So then, okay, I date someone with money. And then I'm like, okay, this guy is too fancy. Like any guy who wears more rhinestones on his pants than you and go get his hair done every freaking Saturday in the same hairstyle. Like, he refused to miss a day. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not real. Like, And so then I slowed down in my manifestation. I'm like, you know what? I need to figure out what I want, because I'm like, okay, I couldn't do that. I didn't want someone under me all day. I don't want someone necessarily with money, because it just, I realize I don't like metro men. Like, I don't like someone who's just like wants to be like mannied and pettied and just want to pay for everything. It's like, I need somebody. I want a man who want to get dirty. I like real masculinity. So, but I didn't realize that that's what I wanted. I kept just asking the universe for particular things. So, but basically, what I was doing, I was asking the universe for a replacement of what the other person was missing. So, for instance, the person who was under me all the time, he was missing money because he didn't want to work. So then I manifested money. But then the person who had all the money, I realized I don't care about that stuff. I mean, the shopping sprees was nice, but I didn't care about that, you know? And so then I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to stop. And I just focused on myself for a while. And I just like, okay, I'm just gonna like, what do I like to do? And then that's when I discovered I love country music, I love dancing, and I like listening to live bands. I just want to go out and go dance. And that's what I did for a while. And then, yeah, I'm not gonna go through the whole spiel about that. But yeah, it's like, I'm pretty sure we all have gone through that. And so if you haven't manifested your divine masculine, if you haven't met your soulmate, you haven't met your twin flame, whatever you believe in or whatever is meant for you to have on this path, I recommend that you focus on like what you want, and what you want that man will fit. Like, for instance, me, I wanted to live in the country. I wanted to have land. I wanted to live outside of the city. Even though these things I thought were completely untangible because I don't like dating outside of my race, I've also discovered that. I was like, yeah, I'm like hell, I'm gonna meet a black man who wants to live in the middle of nowhere and have animals and be masculine and like be like everything that I want. Like, I always thought it was like freaking impossible. And it's funny because once I gave up and I just started focusing on myself, and I just started focusing on my future and my son and what I needed to do to make our lives amazing. Literally the next month after I made changes and I was moving forward with my own self, I met my husband, and he's everything I wanted. And sometimes I'd be like afraid that he's too much of what I wanted, and it scares me because I'm like, what if what I wanted is not what I need, you know? But yeah, divine feminine girl, the rise of us. But yeah, like I was saying, it's like we have to learn how to procreate with the universe, okay? And there's so many tools online, and I'm so grateful for them because it helps me, you know, it helps me transform into the goddess that I am. And you know, I hope that you guys, by listening to this podcast, can feel motivated to rise to the occasion and rise and be the greatest version of yourself, okay? Because I always feel like with me, it's so funny. I always feel bad talking about how I'm like transforming because I'm like, darn it, I'm always transforming. And I'm just like, well, maybe that's just part of the life. Like, maybe that's just part of being a divine feminine, is just transformation. Because you always hear dark night of the soul, but it's like, I really feel like we're always constantly reaching for greatness, and not greatness in the sense of how people see us, but greatness in how we see ourselves, you know? Um, and I really feel like, okay, so I just want to back up a little bit. So also with the rise of the feminine, I feel like our roles at work, our roles in our homes, the way we receive and demand respect, and the way we dream and what we dream of is completely changing. It's completely changing. I feel like with this pandemic, for a lot of moms, including myself, I felt like as divine feminine, we're learning to be better moms. And not like what we were doing was before was bad, but it's just a different type of mothering. Like for instance, before we had the school to rely on for teaching our children, and what we would do is just maybe work on homework, and just if there's something else, we'll just probably add that. But it's like for me personally, I'm actually teaching my son. I'm like, what's a proper noun? What's a common noun? What's an adjective? And he's like, I know, it describes a noun. And it makes me feel good because I'm teaching my son. And at first I was being complaintive about the school and they're not doing a great job. But then I realized, you know what? They're a tool, right? I'm the parent. And it's funny how parents, well, not funny, but I feel like it was wrong. It's wrong for us parents to demote ourselves when it comes to schooling. We do. We demote ourselves. We put the teacher first and then we put us. Like, oh, the teacher's job is to teach you. My job is to raise you, but part of raising is teaching, and it helped me understand, um, the importance of education and the importance of me teaching my son what I want him to know. For instance, in school, they're going to teach him Greek mythology. Do I think the Greek mythology is the best thing to teach kids? No, I do not. I think that there's a lot of other cultures that have way better deities than Medusa and Zeus and Hades. I'm just saying. Um, and so it really has taught me to be a better mom. And part of me being a better mom is rise of the feminine. You know what I mean? It's like it's like I'm awakened in a different way. Like most parents probably wasn't thinking about the education system when it came to their kids. Don't get me wrong, some of us was, some of us weren't, but it has opened our eyes in a different way. I was invited to like a mom's day off event with some other moms, right? First time I ever did anything like that. Best thing ever. And we were talking about school, and one of the moms was a teacher, and she had a really good perspective of online education and stuff like that. And then I had another mom who was just like, my son is excelling, he's doing so good, he's in third grade, and it was nice to hear people gloat about their kids, or to gloat about education, and actually having those conversations. And I also feel like it's also just educating parents. It's like I didn't learn. A lot of parents have that excuse. Oh, it's been a long time, but it's like at the end of the day, we all should know what adjectives are. Like we should. And so I think it's just, again, educating us and making us rise to the occasion and be a better version of ourselves. Period. I think that's what the rise of the feminine's all about. And I also see that there is a place for us goddesses in this world. We may not see it now, but if the LGBT something community, if they could come together and make a change, then I know us women can. And just last thing before I leave you guys, I think it is very important that us women do not try to be men. Just like I think it is very important for men not to be women, try not to be women. Because if you guys notice something, the feminine energy is like addicting. When you hear, oh, a man's going to be a man, what they really mean is that women, the feminine energy is irresistible. So when I see all these men, wanting to be women, or transforming themselves into women, I think it's the thing where it really is illuminating the fact that us women need to stand up and be empowered, because there's no way I'm not gonna say H word, but there's no way in heck that there should be a man who is embodying the feminine energy greater than what a person who is born a female is. It just doesn't make sense. Don't get me wrong. I know that we, like, personally for me, I know probably my past life I was a male. I know that. And that's part of my healing. That's part of me, doing the work till I could embody my feminine energy more, love it more, respect it more, even also understand it more. Okay. And I feel like for other people, in this world, they also have to, like, understand their energy and understand who they are and work on their soul. I don't believe that there's a such thing as someone being born a man and the universe made a mistake and they used to be and they should be a woman in this lifetime. No. What that is that you're drawn to feminine energy. That's all it is. You're drawn to it. It's like you want to embody that energy, and that's okay. But, I don't believe that the universe that literally creates out of beauty, everything the universe does is beautiful. From the mountains to the flowers to the meadows to the islands to the water to the animals to the creatures to us, everything is beauty. And I do not believe that within that beauty, with the way the universe creates, I don't believe the universe makes mistakes. Everything is calculated, everything is mathematical, everything is geometric. It doesn't make sense that there's mistakes being made, in this matrix. I feel like the feminine energy is so valuable, it is so beautiful that people want it. People are naturally drawn to it. People are naturally drawn to it. Can't get enough. When you have a man who just like a womanizer, he can't get enough of that feminine energy. It's like he bounces, he gets excited off of a different type of feminine energy, because there is different types of feminine energy. Like I said, we have a high vibration and we have a low vibrational, and in between there's a bunch of others, a whole different conjuring of feminine energy. And I just want everyone to close your eyes. I'm closing mine right now. Close your eyes. If you can't close your eyes, just be with me mentally, okay? And what I want you to do, I want you to visualize your feminine frequency. Where on the scale of energy, of vibration, okay, where is it that you lie? Understand where you are, where you came from, and where it is your goal is to be. I know mine. I'm going to tell you mine. Mine's is like medium high, right? Medium high. Because my goal in life is to be a great mother. My goal in life is to be very connected with my children and my husband and my household and every living thing on this planet. And in the past, I was very low. I was very low. I I didn't see myself as the mother of everything. I didn't want everything. You know what I saw myself as? As a sexual being. That's what I saw myself as. And a sexual being is a very low vibrational feminine energy. It is only one part of us, it is not our whole self. That is when we operate out of that lower frequency of just sexual energy, we are only acting out of sexual instinct. I'm horny, I want to have sex. I'm horny, I want to have sex. I have the power to make you have sex with me. It is a feminine energy, but is that all you want to be recognized for? Is that all you want to be seen as? If not, you look within and you put yourself on that scale and you try to determine where it is on that scale you belong. Because don't get me wrong, I do believe there are people who just want that sexual energy. That's their goddess in them. It's just sexual. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the only thing about that, there is no growth in sexual energy. All you can do, learn new positions, you know, understanding your body doesn't come understanding your vagina doesn't come from having multiple sex partners or just having a lot of sex or being horny. Honestly, I have the best orgasm when I'm not having sex with anyone, when I am not being penetrated. Actually, very rarely do I even have an orgasm when I'm being penetrated. Unless it's like mental sex, where I'm somewhere I want to be mentally. And I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but like, for instance, when I have sex with my husband, there's different places, people that I become, that I am. And sometimes I am the director and I am the person setting the tone for where we're going to be and who we're going to be. And others, I would say most of the time, it's him. But occasionally, neither one of us are the director. And we just lie where we are. And those are the most beautiful, most satisfying, most addicting situations. I swear, let me tell you, after I had my last orgasm with my husband, and then we had sex after that, I didn't even want to have sex with him. I was like, oh my God. It's like, this does not feel the same as it felt last time. And I was just like in my mind after that, just trying to like get back to where I was mentally that time. But I realized it was natural. It's nothing for me to direct. It was just a place and time where we were mentally and physically, where we matched, where he wasn't pulling me in one direction and I wasn't pulling him in another. And it was just pure love and energy coming from both of us, wanting to feel each other and love each other and touch each other. And if you're operating out of sexual energy, is I would say most cases you are not going to experience that level of bliss, because it's not meant for you to have that with everybody. It's not meant for you to experience that every time you have sex. And if you are having sex with different people, most likely, if anything, you're going to become more confused because you're taking a piece of every person and holding it within your body. Okay. And it's really important to cleanse yourself and understand where it is on the scale of vibration and energy where you want to lie. Where is your soul pulling you towards? Because sometimes our 3D reality is different from our spiritual self, our inner self, you know? So it's not about where you are, it's about how you feel. How you feel is one of the most important senses that the universe has gifted us with. You know, it's one thing to be within a reality, but it's a whole other thing to feel different about a reality. You know, to be able to dissect a reality and to change and create a new one. Most powerful thing in the world, and most people don't believe it, except people who've lived it. For example, me. I've created my reality. My family could not imagine that I'm living the life that I am. I could not imagine. I would have never guessed this. But here I am with the man of my dreams, the children of my dreams, the house of my dreams, the love, the connection of my dreams. Some of the best sex in my dreams, even though I wish it was like more consistent because my husband is so up and down. 1 minute he a freak, then he not a freak. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I swear, it's like, oh my gosh, can you just be consistently freaky with me? Damn it. I feel like that's one of like the worst things in like, not worst things, but like one of the things that fucked my head up the most because I'm like, wait, but last time, you know what I mean? Like, what last time? It's like, you confuse me. But it's really just like his masculinity is like, I'm the man, I'm in control. I'm like, okay, whatever. Because in the spirit realm, I'm in control. I'm making sure we are following a path of righteousness for our own souls. But anyway, you guys, that is our first episode. Okay. Rise of the Feminine. With that, I hope I will post this on the YouTube. And I hope that you guys listen to it. I think my podcast will be around this long. Probably won't be this long, but definitely more than 30 minutes because, you know, I like to dive deep into a concept. I hope that anything I said did not offend you guys. My goal is not to be offensive, but to just be honest. I don't have anything against, you know, any person, any type of people, anything like that. It's just from a spiritual point of view and from a woman's point of view. All I could do is tell you or relate what I feel in my heart, you know? And, you know, I encourage you to express what you guys feel in your heart as well. You know, I made this podcast not only for me to share information, but to also receive information because, you know, chosen by the universe is if you guys are guided to this channel or to this podcast, your soul development and your path is meant to collide or mesh with mine. And so, with your life experiences, if I could learn something from them, I'm more than willing to learn. You know, I think knowledge is the key to life or the key to a successful life. Knowledge never stops. It begins as soon as you are born. And so knowledge is very important to me, and not just book knowledge, but people knowledge, understanding other people's paths. Like, okay, this person went through this, so I didn't have to. Kind of like the Jesus concept, right? Where he died for our sins. And for me, I see that in every human, that, you know, there's so much I can learn from every human. And that person walked a different path so that they could educate me on a lesson in life. But I didn't have to walk down that path. We all can't walk down the same path, right? Then it'll just be a systemic mess, right? So it's really important for you guys too, you know, so maybe some of my point of views you don't necessarily agree with, but maybe it's thought provoking where it makes you think about something, and that is what it's all about. Okay. With love, you guys. Bye, chosen people.